Well, a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed a professional guide about the province's move to bring in a guide license fees. But really, that's all it was. It was basically put your money down and presto, you become an angling guide. And it wasn't too long after that story was posted that I started getting some messages and basically from folks who were concerned that, hey, there is a professional angling association in Alberta and they have some concerns. So I am going to correct the error of my ways, and really, it's a real welcoming opportunity here for Nancy Storwick. Nancy, thanks so much for spending some time with us. You are the president of the Angling Outfitter and Guide Association of Alberta, and thanks very much for agreeing to talk to me.
Of course, yeah. I am the president of the association, and we have about 65 members currently. So,
and in terms of sort of the, I guess, initial response from your organization to the province, you're not real happy about the fact that if it does go ahead, that the province's only requirement of a guide is to pay maybe between $50 and $100 and report on where they caught fish, how many they caught fish, that kind of thing. You're not too happy about that proposal.
No, we definitely have some concerns. We, right now the reality is anyone can become a guide in Alberta. In April, if this goes through, anyone can become a guide in Alberta as long as they're willing to pay the small fee. We've been in discussions with the government for a number of years about this, and we're wanting some kind of a licensing program, but this is certainly not what we were hoping for.
So what is your scenario of sort of the perfect universe when it comes to guides in Alberta that focus on angling?
Well, our organization actually has a policy and bylaws, and they acknowledge both an outfitter and a guide for fishing, not just for fly fishing. And we were kind of hoping that the provincial policy would mirror that, have an outfitter and a guide component to it. We think at a minimum, the licensing should have some requirement for liability insurance and first aid. Right now, technically, to operate any fishing operation within a provincial park, you're supposed to be holding a provincial park guide and instructor permit. And those are some of the requirements that permit actually requires. So we were thinking it might mirror sort of what's already out there.
Is there it was interesting in your letter or your outline from a meeting on December the 9th,
yeah.
You indicated that there is a concern of internet guides, and I'm wondering if that's sort of a reaction to maybe folks that just present themselves, they know where the fish are, and maybe just going into a location to land fish, pose with big fish, and present themselves as professional guides, but really beyond that, they're not really equipped to deal with the customer relations, the tourism aspect, and the all the requirements of being a professional guide.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fair, like we're certainly not against new guides coming into the industry, but we'd like to see a minimum requirement, like I said, with some basic first aid and liability insurance, whether that's through the outfitter or through the guide. We've always kind of had a threefold approach within our organization, and it's conservation focused and also focused on professionalism within the industry. So we'd kind of really like to see if we can figure out a way for that to continue to grow and happen as an association.
Now, I guess maybe one of the reasons I mistakenly made the comment that there was no organization representing guides in Alberta is the fact that maybe right now your organization is kind of focused on fly fishing guides and the Bow River, but I know you are making some attempts to reach beyond that. Where are you in terms of reaching out to other guides in Alberta and bringing them into the fold?
Yeah, you're very right, Michael, in terms of we are still a pretty bow-centric organization. Last year we had a subcommittee put together to try and reach out to some of the, some of the other outfitters from across the province, and we didn't have great response to that, and I'm not really sure why. I'd love for outfitters or guides to reach out, to me or to any of our other executive. And I think our contact is on our association website, which is aogaa.ca, I think. And if not, you can find me pretty easily, I think. So
In terms of a benefit, so if I want to hang a shingle and say I'm now a professional guide and I join your association, what obviously you're there to help protect, I think, the or at least provide a conduit for the client to maybe reach out and say, hey, I had a bad experience with this guide or whatever. But for me as a guide, what benefit do I get from being part of your organization?
yeah, that's a really interesting question, because I think it's one of the things we've kind of struggled with over time. We are currently working on a bit of a group insurance policy, and I don't know if we have the numbers yet to actually make that viable. But I like to think that the voice of many within one organization would have more impact with government, with decisions like the one that's coming down the fold about guide licensing, than just me going as an independent outfitter to talk to the powers that be, so to speak.
So what's next, Nancy, in terms of moving your organization forward, and I guess more importantly, moving your concerns forward to Alberta Environment and Parks so that they take a closer look at some of the, I think when somebody goes through the outline that you've laid out in terms of what at a minimum a professional guide needs to be in Alberta, I think these are common sense, at a bare minimum, points that you guys are making. What's the next step to maybe sell that message to the province?
Well, we have distributed a letter, much like the one I sent to you, for our members to be emailing directly to the minister and to some of the policymakers within AEP. I think some encouragement for engagement on the current Alberta fisheries engagement survey that's online would be another good place for people to reach out to. And yeah, by all means, if anybody has any questions about the association or kind of what we're thinking, give me a shout.
All right, Nancy, thanks so much for spending a little time and setting me straight on your organization and the great work that you're doing. And please keep me in the loop. And if some new developments come down the line, we'll be happy to report on them.
Sounds good. Thank you, Michael.